And today we're going to break open a paper that's, well, it's a little mind-bending. This episode, we're taking on The Hidden Substrate of Reality by S.C. Sayles. All right, let's dive in. So what's this paper all about? Basically, S.C. Sayles is stepping right into one of science's gigantic questions, maybe the question at the very heart of physics. Why do our best theories about how the universe works still refuse to play nicely together? On one side, we've got the theory of relativity, Einstein's huge legacy, which explains the movement of stars and galaxies, detects ripples in space-time, and more. On the other, there's quantum mechanics, describing the wild, unpredictable actions of tiny particles for which even up and down lose meaning. Both are, honestly, mind-blowingly successful, but they clash exactly where you might want them to shake hands. The really fundamental layers of reality, the fabric itself, not just the patterns on it. Now, if that all sounds a little cosmic or abstract, don't worry. The paper starts by painting this exact portrait, a physics that's wildly powerful, sure, but starkly unsettled underneath. Sayles points out how so many experiments and math equations confirm these existing theories, down to like 5 or more decimal places. That's accuracy. But here's the catch. The actual frameworks, the deep down stories we use to make sense of the world, are at odds. Relativity is great with the very big stuff. Quantum mechanics masters the very small. But where the two scales meet, think black holes or the Big Bang, they don't mesh, and no one, despite decades of attempts, has really tied them together in a satisfying way. String theory, loop quantum gravity, these are some examples, but even those are, works in progress. And it all boils down to this wild sense that we're missing something crucial. John Archibald Wheeler, a physicist, once said, "We are no longer satisfied with insights into this or that piece of the world. We want to understand the whole." That longing, it's driving the kind of rethink Sayles is suggesting in this paper. A rethink of, well, what reality is actually made of. The heart of Sayles' argument is something the paper calls the information field. Just kind of let that sit for a second. Instead of thinking about matter and energy as the foundation, what if the most basic layer, the substrate, as the title puts it, was information itself? That's the hypothesis the research explores. Sayles isn't just inventing this idea in a vacuum either. Information theory, pioneered by scientists like Claude Shannon, has totally revolutionized our ideas about communication and computation. Some physicists, too, have started to wonder if the physical universe is, in a way, a vast information system, with particles representing bits and physical laws emerging from the patterns that information takes as it moves and interacts. So, what's actually at stake if this information field theory is true, or at least useful to think about? Well, for one, the split between relativity and quantum mechanics might start to look less like a contradiction and more like two faces of the same under-the-hood mechanism. The messy bits, like quantum entanglement, where two particles affect each other instantly over huge distances, could make a lot more sense if everything, fundamentally, is just different expressions of information. The paper talks about how this kind of thinking could possibly fill the holes that current physics leaves unanswered. What is space-time, actually? Why are the laws of nature the way they are? Are they written into the fabric, or do they emerge from something deeper? The paper isn't saying, hey, information is definitely the answer. It's more laying out a map and saying, we've got gaps to fill, and maybe looking beneath matter, beneath energy, at information itself might nudge us forward. The author discusses how embracing this field could potentially resolve some of those jarring failures of modern physics, at least conceptually. But, and this is really important, the research isn't claiming to have found the absolute truth. A possible way of mapping reality that works until it doesn't. So, for all you listeners out there, what does this mean for you? Well, firstly, your world, the chair you're sitting in, or the podcast you're listening to? What if it's all expressions of information at its most fundamental? Does that shift how you think about technology, consciousness, or even meaning? Maybe it sparks new questions, or just opens up space for a little wonder. Alright, that's all for today's journey through the fabric of reality, as seen through the lens of SC Sayles.